Up next on the GRIOT, Power and Narratives.
We have to try. You have to ask. There are two things you can be told, yes or no. And that's a 50-50 chance.
Angela Connor, founder and CEO of Change Agent Communications in Raleigh, North Carolina. This media entrepreneur is a mom on a mission and most definitely an American.
Welcome, Angela Connor. I am so excited to have you on the GRIOT. Woo! All the pearls that are coming our way. When I reached out to you initially, I was like, this is a really busy woman. This is a woman who is about her business. She's not even going to have the time to chat with me, but you know what? Let me just give it a try. So I thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, I'm happy to be here, and I thank you for trying. I think more people need to try. So many times we make assumptions that something can't or won't happen, and I just believe you get none of the things you don't ask for, right? So you have to ask.
And there is our first pearl for the beginning of the conversation. I love it. I was on LinkedIn today and found out that your agency, this new emerging agency, was recognized by the Triangle Business Journal. You're a podcaster. You did something so brave and courageous months ago. You reached out via LinkedIn. You posted an essay about racial discrimination in corporate America. And I thought, well, you know what? If she's willing to be brave, other people can be brave, and I can be brave. Did you realize you would be inspiring so many people?
I didn't. I will tell you that with most things that I do, especially now that I'm older and I can recognize it and call it for what it is I want to make an impact on people. But I am very moved by the moment and what I feel. And I knew it was time to talk about it. And mostly because I was getting so annoyed by all these corporate statements coming out about how we support Black people and we are against systemic racism. And it's like, what? Really? Well, why do you treat people like crap? So, and I knew that sentiment that was being shared so widely on social media would not be the sentiment of the people who work in that company. And I just got so annoyed by it and felt like I needed to speak, and I needed to speak out about it. And we have to talk about it, because if people can't change what they don't see or what they don't know or understand. And our perspective and our experiences collectively are what's going to make people understand and get it.
The service that you now provide through your agency, Now Look Inward. What made you think of that, and what message are you trying to send to organizations that hire your agency?
It was an old song. It was one of my mom's jams, and it says, sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine.
But what you need to do is take 6 months to mind your own business and 6 months to leave other folks' business alone. All I'm trying to say is sweep around.
And that essentially is where Now Look Inward came from. It's like, stop talking about what everybody else is doing and look at yourself and reflect on what you're doing to create these situations, because it's so easy to judge everybody else.
I think it's the way in which you tell your experiences through social media, through your agency, that is inspiring to other people, which is why you're a perfect fit for a griot. Griot comes from Western African culture. It represents people who use genealogy and storytelling and history to share their artistry. So with that said, please tell us what your historical moment is, either in American or global history, why it means so much to you, and why you think it's relevant today.
I really appreciate that question, and I love the way it made me think. But there's one that just really bubbles to the top, and I believe it was 1992. I was a sophomore in college. Carol Moseley Braun was the first African-American woman elected to the U.S. Senate. I was so inspired by that, and I'm sharing that with you because there's another piece of it that the 48-year-old me can definitely recognize that maybe, the 20-year-old me didn't really get. I was just caught up in the excitement of it. While that taught me and showed me, okay, girl, you can do what you want to do, be what you want to be. There's nothing that we can't do. But, upon some reflection, and again, what makes it relevant today in a different way is, why were we talking about a first? Why was 1992 the first time a Black woman had been elected to the U.S. Senate? We are beyond capable and qualified and gifted in so many ways. And why was that just happening? And fast forward today, we keep seeing posts about the first Black woman is now, chief diversity and inclusion officer at company X, or the first Black woman is in this role. We are still seeing that. I was 20 then. We need to make it the norm to be in these spaces. It needs to stop being such an anomaly that a Black woman is in a top role. I'm not going to say I don't get excited about it anymore, but I look at it a little differently when I see those, and it's like, wow, okay, 2020, first time a Black woman ever did that. So that's my moment, which, again, a very big moment. I'm very excited about it. Why is it relevant today? Well, I can just say 2 words: Kamala Harris. Right. So that we're in another situation where we have a first. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be my great grandkids that don't even flinch about this? Are they going to live in a time when it's not a headline that a Black woman is a first X, Y, or Z? Well, I hope so. That would give me great joy.
Yeah, I see a parallel between the experiences that you have had in corporate America being a first or one of a few, and Carol Moseley Braun's journey as she was navigating, legislative issues, policy issues with pretty seasoned veterans in terms of politics. Do you see the parallelism?
I do. And I think when you live it, sometimes you forget about it, because it can't be the bane of your existence every day. You can't think every day, oh, I'm the only Black woman here. And honestly, I didn't think that much at all. It just became part of what was happening, whether I chose industries that just didn't have a large minority representation. It became my reality. So you're going to be sitting at tables with people who don't necessarily understand your perspective, but you have to be strong enough to bring it to the table.
I'm curious because, again, we're not as a community, African Americans, Black folks, we're not a monolithic people, as you alluded to. Right. And we also have different ways in which we have mitigated or coped with, whether it's been aggressive or passive forms of discrimination, prejudice, racism. We come to each situation with our own background, our own experiences, what we've been taught, and how we choose to navigate that, which is why you might find a Black person who goes into a workspace, doesn't think at all about color, doesn't think at all about any differences, facilitates their job with that frame of mind. Whereas you might have someone who walks into a workspace and is very aware, keenly aware of differences. So I guess my question to you is it okay to have these different ways in which we approach or contend with or cope with racism, discrimination, prejudice? Is that normal? And how would you advise someone to deal with that as they're going into a corporate job?
People have different coping mechanisms, right? People handle situations differently. So of course it's okay to deal with it in your own way. I do think that we have to be really in tune with what's acceptable and what isn't acceptable. There may be something that happens that you have to go to HR about, right? I've had things happen to me that I just dealt with silently, maybe talk to the person individually, let it pass. It just depends on where you are in your career, how much you want to risk. And I hate that I'm even saying this, but yeah, there are things that you may have to deal with and you have to make tough choices. I mean, I can tell you that through my career, I was always very conscious of not coming across as the angry Black woman, because I may have colleagues who could get passionate and yell and get upset. And it just looks like, oh my gosh, she cares so much about this. Let me do it. And it's like, ooh, Angela's getting mad. Uh-oh, everybody watch out. Angela's getting mad. So I've had to adjust this conversation about it being systemic and the actual facts that are being presented are making people very uncomfortable. And if you're going to address it the way people want to talk about it now, you have to accept that that stuff is real. And it's been very easy to not accept that and just make it seem as though our history is a lot simpler than it really is.
The New York Times produced a list of the 900 most powerful people in America.
Wow.
And they noted that 80% are white. And when you talk about first, that we're in 2020 and we're still talking about first, that's a representation of what you mean. And we have to start asking ourselves, well, why is that? You know, it's not that other groups of people are less intelligent, you know, less informed, less ambitious. You know, we have to start asking ourselves, why is that? Why is it that the room looks a certain way? Well, I'm certainly glad you're in the room with me. So, I want to get to these action steps because we could talk all day about observations, but at the end of the day, you've got to put your perspective, I think, in motion. And some of us do that in grand ways, like you have a platform, you're speaking out, you're helping to train corporations, you're helping organizations with their branding and marketing with this in mind, with diversity in mind. But for the average person, Miss Connor, what does the average person do?
Do not go where the path may lead. Go where there is no path and leave a trail. And that is how I live my life. I remember a Jay-Z song where he said he went past the fork in the road and went straight. And that's what I do. You can't just tell me there's two ways to do something. Like maybe there's another way and I'm going to try to create that way. So I like to be a trailblazer and give people the roadmap that is not something that's on the GPS, so to speak. So I'd like to blaze my own trail. And of course, I'll follow some things that other people have done, but I think we have to get more comfortable with trying to go our own way. So I think we need to strive higher and believe in ourselves a little bit more and not be afraid to try. We have to try. You have to ask. There are two things you can be told, yes or no. And that's a 50-50 chance, right? So just go for it. I'm told no all the time, but I'm told yes enough.
You are absolutely one of the most determined women that I've had the privilege of meeting and engaging and learning from. And I just love how you are unapologetically you. And you encourage others to be unapologetically themselves and to question their surroundings and to be brave. I think you're so brave, and
Thank you
I
for saying
appreciate
that.
that.
Thank you. It's not an easy thing, but it's a choice, right? So if not me, then who, right?
One more thing, we want to talk about your newsletter. I want to make sure that folks who are watching and listening can subscribe to this newsletter that you have. Tell us about it.
I just like to share news and views that I've read, and I typically insert some of my opinion, not too much, but I get a lot of great feedback. People enjoy it. You can always hit reply and talk to me directly, and it's at womeninspiringwomenweekly.com is where you can go if you want to subscribe. I don't spam people, and I don't waste your time because I am such a steward of my own time.
Thank you so much for being a griot. Thank you for sharing your pearls of wisdom, your experiences, and thank you for motivating us and encouraging us to be brave in whatever space we may find ourselves in. That alone is a key action step, to just have courage and to just be brave and to trust yourself, trust your instincts. So thank you, Angela Connor.